allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jack Monroe. I'm a consultant based in the Stirling office, and I'll just be chairing the session today. I'm delighted to have my colleague Robin Mair. Robin's the area manager for Stirling and is a senior consultant with SAC for some time, and is our expert on livestock software. And it's great to have Robin here today. So the plan for the next hour or so, Robin's going to be taking us through what packages we have on offer to us for our farms. So the first part of the presentation, Robin will be dealing with that, and then we'll take time when that ends to do some questions. And then Robin's got a case study which is close to home, which will then kind of give a practical example of what's working out on the farm there. So I think most people are familiar with the way Zoom works. If you've got a question as Robin's going through it, put it in the chat or the question and answer box. And we can try and answer the questions throughout the presentation, but we'll try and do the bulk of them after Robin's done the first set, and then if there's any questions after the example. So without further ado, I'll just hand over to you, Robin, and let you crack on with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Thanks for everybody coming out on this horrible wet night. I can hear it battering off the roof here in the office. This is the final webinar in a series of 3 that have been produced by the Farm Advisory Service, funded by Scottish Government. The other 2 are financial software packages and arable software packages, and these 2 are now available on YouTube, and a publication with a summary of all 3 will be released just shortly on the website. So, choosing the right livestock software for your farming business. Are you confused by the type and extent of livestock software available? I'm sure we've all been there. There's lots of them about, and they seem to be changing from day to day. There seems to be many apps and programs out there, all basically doing the same thing, albeit in a slightly different way. The idea tonight is to give you an idea of what's out there, help you choose what is right for your own business, whether it be cattle or sheep. What records do we need to keep? That's where you need to start from. I've got it shown there on the slide. We have statutory management requirements, which is part of the subsidy system for cattle, sheep, and pigs. I don't have any software for pigs to offer anybody at the moment, unfortunately. These can all be found on ruralpayments.org or Scottish Government websites. If you're looking for things, Google is also a good option. You can also look up on our Farm Advisory Service website, www.fas.scot, or even Scot EID. They have some good information on their site as well. The thing to take away is, regardless of what package you really buy, anything you buy in the UK is basically going to cover the minimum that you need for subsidy purposes. So don't worry on that side. Medicine records, they're required by law to show medicine usage, basically to make sure that you don't sell something in a withdrawal period. By having that information on a computer, it does help you interrogate it better, so that you and your vet can then make sensible management decisions. You can find out repeat offenders, ones that you've been treating for the same disease time and time again. So, why keep them after that? So the idea is that benefits you, benefits your animals, and also benefits the business. There are some very basic free packages out there. Just note that some of these probably do not have medicines or very much more than just the statutory requirements on them. Records for assurance schemes. Farm assurance schemes need good records. A good set of clear records will tick many boxes before you even start. Assessors like easy to follow information, as does our good friends in ARPID at inspection. It can make the whole process so much easier with less stress all around if you have a nicely laid out set of records for them to look through. Whether you're a fan or not, good accurate records will be of great benefit to your business. It's great for marketing to demonstrate traceability and proper medicine use. So facts about records. I can't really emphasize enough, if your paper records are a shambles or poorly disorganized, then a computer system is not really going to help you. You could end up with a bit of a disaster. Well, computers are great. It's just like paper systems. You've got to keep on top of them and regularly update it. You can't go and leave it for weeks or months on end and then try and catch up. It just doesn't work. Once you've crossed that hurdle, you've then got to choose the right software, which next becomes a big issue. It's a very personal thing, as what suits me might not suit you. Our brains all work in slightly different ways. Some people are more visual, others aren't so. So take your time to get it right, as a wrong decision will leave you with the wrong system, and that will haunt you for years. What records do you want to keep? So once you've decided whether to stick to paper or use a computer type system, the decision becomes what you want to keep. If it's statutory records only, that's fine. Simpler packages will do. But almost all packages out there now will keep data that will allow you to interrogate it to say lambing or calving performance, what dams had calves that performed well, weight gains, good or bad, medicine use. You can have bull tup performance, you can have all sorts of things. Some will do feed as well, all of which, helps you plan breeding strategies, replacement animal strategies, even down to which animals off which farms did well if you're rearing or buying in animals. So there's a lot of useful information can be gleaned from them. Different types of systems available, what's out there? The traditional system has been a desktop laptop where all the data is stored on its hard disk. Doesn't go anywhere, just sits on your desk. There's web-based applications. A prime example of these would be the likes of Facebook, Google Mail, Google Docs, etc., where you log on to a site, you don't download anything to your computer, everything's held in a sort of virtual computer somewhere. There are now apps on phones, and these are a kind of hybrid between the old standalone computers and the web-based applications. So the simplest system is, of course, paper. Many people run a parallel system with computers and paper, just in case, which is a hang back when computers were not very reliable. I remember the days when computers would just stop working for no apparent reason. Those days have gone. Some moved on to Excel spreadsheets, which did the job. The advantage of that was that Excel did the arithmetic for you, and you could change things quite easily. The takeaway message here really is, if you've got a current system that is simple but good, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't change something just for the sake of change. Have a good reason to do it before you go down that road. Standalone programs, which you mentioned earlier there, is where the computer basically is not connected to this cloud that's up there for backups or other information. And the cloud is basically just a great big building full of servers that process and hold data in a secure manner. It's where all your Microsoft OneDrive, Google Mail Drive, etc. stuff all lives, just lives in big banks of computers. With your standalone system, backups have to be done manually. They often have to be connected with apps or Cyan handheld type devices that you have to pre-populate if you're using, say, wake rates or things like that to capture external information. That then has to be loaded back up. The problem with these systems is every year people lose data. Their computers crash, they've not got backups, and it just turns into a mess. There is also the issue with Microsoft Windows machines versus Mac Apple machines, as there's very little software available for Macs on its own, and Windows software doesn't run on Macs unless it's a conversion program called Parallels, and that allows Windows programs to run in Macs. So that's another problem with all these standalone computers. If you move to web-based programs, as I've already said, they basically run over the web with no data held locally in the PC. So it doesn't matter whether you're using a Windows machine or a Mac, it makes no difference. All you need is web access. The beauty of that is the backup risk is with the provider, not with you. So we then come to the app-based programs. These are small downloadable programs that run on Android or iPhone systems, whether it's on a phone or on a tablet. They do hold some data locally, but also have the ability for their data to be accessed from a PC over the web. They also often allow more than one user to access the data at any one time, but that can depend on the provider and the package that you take out with them. The huge advantage of that is they can capture data in real time, which is an important thing, and they can be used offline. So why would we move to apps? With the increase in power, coverage, and use of smart mobile phones, that's spurred on their development. A lot of phones nowadays can store as much, if not more, than some of your older PCs, and they're also faster. Apps are fast, portable, and reliable. Almost everyone nowadays has a smartphone, and as already mentioned, the app can be put on a larger tablet. Again, I emphasize the importance of it is the real-time data is the key. What you're doing at the time is held in your records at the time, so it's all good. So with our apps, what's in it for me? Why should I go to an app? It can be used literally anywhere in the country where you've got a data signal, you're away from the farm, doesn't matter, you can access your records. As I said, many of them can still function offline until you get a signal. If you go somewhere, your signal drops, you do something on your app, it'll pick up again once your signal regains. As mentioned, real time again, that's the important thing. Data is held centrally at the provider's risk, so you don't have to bother with backups. You can also, with most apps, access your information also on a PC through the web. So again, it doesn't matter whether you've got a Windows PC, laptop, Mac, wherever you are, as long as you've got a web access, you can access your data. You also don't have to pre-plan what you're going to do. With a lot of the old systems, you had to download to sign handhelds the kind of information that you're going to do work on that day. Whereas with these apps, you can just take your phone out, straight to the shed, do what you want to do, bring it back in, everything's up there, and it's all good. An interesting thing is, going too far there, is if you drop your phone. Now, in the old days, if your computer blows up, you've got to take it away, get somebody to fix it, download the software, put in the backups, and that's a faff. If you drop your phone, you break your phone, you could get hold of somebody else's phone, you can get a replacement very quickly. All you have to do, download the app, sign in, and away you go. So you're not losing time if something catastrophic happens. You don't need to worry about upgrades. They are done centrally and they're then pushed out to the app. So there's no issue about not having the most up-to-date software, because you will have. As I've said before, often more than one user is allowed when you're using apps. What's in it for the provider? That's where it gets a bit interesting. It's a complete change of business model. They now have monthly fees or annual fees. It's usually cheaper to do the annual fee, and you, the customer, are now locked in. If there's no payment, the app will stop working. So they've kind of got you a bit over a barrel. It's a guaranteed income for the provider with probably less support required. Updates are easier for them to do, and their system can be accessed from any device. You'll find a lot of providers now are moving away from standalone devices towards apps. The one downside of that is if you're in an area where you don't have mobile phone signal or internet access, then your choice of provider is going to get less and less as time goes on, and that's going to be a bit of a problem. So we've thought about that. So what do we need to get started? You've really, first of all, got to decide on what information you want to keep. How much management information do you want to keep, if at all? Once you've worked that one out, decide what system suits you best. Have you got a good mobile signal? How good's your broadband? That can all make the difference as to what you actually go for. If you're using an app, can you very simply take a stick, take a weigh ahead, and go out into the race or crush, read a tag, get its weight, and it goes straight onto the app? Or do you have to go through a piece of third-party hardware like a Scion handheld or something like that? Also, if using an app, do you really want to use your fancy £1,000 iPhone when you're mucking about in a mucky shed? What you can do is what many people do is they go out and buy a second-hand iPhone, second-hand Android. You can get them reasonably priced. Buy a pay-as-you-go SIM, for example, giffgaff or Lebara or something like that, with no fixed contract. You just pay so much a month and use that. That doesn't. It's not the same catastrophe if you drop it in the muck. Or you could, of course, extend your Wi-Fi into the shed or the handling area, which some people have now done because they've got cameras there. So you can piggyback on the back of that. What system actually suits you best? As I've alluded to, it's very much a personal choice. If you asked all of us across SAC which one we like best, I guarantee you would get a lot of different answers. It's a very, very personal choice. Most systems will give you a free trial, so use them to see what you prefer. Check out their websites. Remember to make a decision as to what information you want to keep, as that might narrow down the choice. So starting to look out what's there, there's a good range of software out there. All are capable of doing most things like management reports, daily live weight gains, medicine use, dam, sire performance, etc., except probably the very basic ones like some of the free ones around. Prices all vary, can be monthly. Generally, they can be billed annually, which knocks a little bit off the monthly price. Just remember the free trials, but just check up on the conditions first. One or two of them, you have to almost sort of sign up first, and if you don't cancel it, then they'll charge you for the first month of the first year. Almost all will connect with BCMS, Scott Moves, and can send data to Scott EID. So if you go down for a new piece of software and you can just basically upload all your animals, certainly on the cattle side from Scott Moves, most of these packages allow you to do that. And many of them will also allow you to process a calf claim. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go through a list of some of the providers out there. I'm not saying I've got them all. The data is certainly up to date as of today, but always check the provider's website for up-to-date information. They might have special offers. They might have, well, most of them have free trials. A word of caution. It now looks like we're definitely moving towards UHF tags in cattle. Not quite sure of the time scale, but if you're looking to replace your software, then you need to check that whatever you do is going to be compatible with UHF tags in cattle. You'll still be able to use low frequency tags, as in sheep with cattle, but UHF tags is going to be the coming thing. So let's go through some and see what they have to offer. First on the list here is AgriWeb. It allows an unlimited number of users. It has an essential package at £75 a year and a more comprehensive performance package at £150 per year. Those are minimum prices, and it increases depending on the number of sheep and cattle that you have on your holding. It's completely cloud-based. It has an app with a web browser option, so you can go into it through the app on the phone, or you can log on and go in through your PC. Support is included. They also have a YouTube channel which you can look up for help, and they give a 14-day free trial. One of the interesting things with this one, you can also connect with a stick and a wayhead. So if you have a wayhead and you have a stick and you have the app, then you're good to go with certainly weighing sheep and cattle if they've got a low frequency tag on their head. No mention at the moment of ultra high frequency tags on their website at the minute. Then look at HerdWatch. HerdWatch has 3 different packages: dairy, suckler, or beef finishing. And depending whether you go for dairy, suckler, or beef finishing, the prices range from £14 to £21 for an essential package, which allows 1 single user. You can then get a complete package, which is a bit more information in it, and you can get up to 3 users to use that. Obviously, it's more expensive. And their top of the range one is Innovator. Unlimited number of users. More information can be held. It's cloud-based. Again, like AgriWeb, it's an app with web browser options. Support is included. There's also a YouTube channel, and for them, you get a 30-day free trial. No mention of this stick and app option. You might have to go through a third-party piece of software, and there certainly was no mention on their website of UHF tags at the minute. Out of the same stable as HerdWatch, they now have FlockWatch for the sheep side of things. We don't know how many users are allowed on their package. They do have a very basic package at no cost. They have a complete package, which again is based on flock size, and it starts at $14.92 a month, and it's billed annually. They, at the moment, have a special introductory offer, 6 months, £79, cloud-based. It has an app. Again, you can log on to that. Support available. Also their YouTube channel. And they have a 30-day free trial. But in this particular case, you need to make sure that if you don't want to go ahead with it, you cancel it, and they will not bill you. Again, no mention of be able to use a stick and a wayhead, a simple method like that, and also no mention of UHF tags at the minute. Moving on to Farm Matters. That's got access to multiple devices in their basic package. It's desktop based, £225 a year. They have a web and Android app. It's Android only, not iPhone, available from them. You can get support, and they also have a YouTube channel. It's a 30-day free trial, as you'll see there, and it is the only one that actually at the moment mentions UHF compatibility. They have an app that allows you to connect to UHF readers for their system. They may possibly be able to connect with stick and wayhead, but I've not been able to confirm that from their website. Farm Solutions, another one that's been going for a good number of years. We don't know how many users can use the package at the moment, possibly just 1. Cattle, £295 a year, sheep, £145 a year. They're desktop based. They do have a free app. You have to pay for support on top of that, £125 a year, but they do have a detailed tutorial to show you how to work the program. Of all of them, this certainly has the longest free trial. It's a 200-day free trial. They don't have the facility for using the app with a stick and a wayhead, and there's certainly at the minute no mention of UHF tags. Another one that's appeared is farm data. That's the old program. Well, it's not the old program, but it was the one designed up in Aberdeenshire. It's cattle data and sheep data. They've been taken over by Landmark Systems. They are kind of sparse of information on their website. You really have to contact them to find out how much it costs. It looks like it's cloud-based and they have an app, but you would have to contact them for more details. There's nothing really on the website to tell you costs and whether there's a free trial. Doesn't look like they are UHF compatible yet, and I don't think they do stick to Wayhead with their app. But you'd have to contact them to get more details. We have Livestock, cattle and sheep, £300 a year. Again, cloud-based. It's got an app and web login. Support is included. They do offer a free trial, but they don't tell you. I couldn't certainly see it how long it was, but they are at the minute offering a discount for small farmers. I think it's something, I could be wrong, I think it's something like 30 cows and 150 sheep. That's a small farmer. They can connect to a Wayhead just using a stick and the app, so that's quite useful. But again, no mention of UHF tags in cattle. Farm Wizard, it's run by Orchid. It's only beef and dairy. Again, not a lot of information out there about it. Price and application. It is desktop based. And if you want further details, you need to contact them. There's no mention of UHF tags or apps at this precise second. Shearwell, it's basically a desktop. It sells separate packages of cattle, sheep and flock. You can buy the whole thing for £575. They have an Android app, doesn't work on an iPhone. That's £30 a year that you basically download data from FarmWorks. You go and do what you want to do with the app outside, bring it back in and upload the data. It doesn't do weights, but it'll do medicines and movements and births and bits and pieces like that. Support, £115 a year. They'll give you a free 30-day trial. At the minute, there's no mention of, well, the app doesn't connect to anything other than FarmWorks. Also, they don't mention UHF tags at the moment. FarmWorks, being a desktop, is actually gradually moving over towards an app. They have got an app in development, which is coming up next. Shearwell, it's cattle and sheep. It's £20 a month, £200 a year. They'll have a pro version out that'll do a bit more beginning of next year. It allows multiple users. It's cloud-based. Again, it's an app with a web login. You can connect stick to a Wayhead and to the app. And again, no mention of UHF tags at this stage, but support is included. And that's the way Shearwell are going to head. They're moving away from their desktop type software towards this. Finally, of the ones we've looked at, we've got Farm IT, Border Software. There's Farm IT 3000, £399. They do have a smallholder version for £149. It's desktop based. Again, they have an Android app and a Farm IT online system. Annual support of £80 a year. They don't have this facility for stick and a Wayhead, and they don't mention UHF tags. You'll have noticed that a few of the providers have Android only apps, and that's really just a quirk of the way iPhone works. It can be quite difficult to get apps through iPhone. So the cheapest option is always immediately to go for Android first and then worry about iPhone later. So that's a very quick run through of some of the software that we've seen that's available on, that's available out there for you to look at and purchase. At this stage, I think if anybody's got any questions, we'll see what we can do about answering some of them before we move on. Jack.
Yeah, no, that was great, Robin. Thanks for that summary of what's on offer. I mean, just if everyone can, if you've got any questions, to put them in, just to put into the Q&A box just now. But yeah, there's a few other ones that operate different on different payment systems. So there's Border, there's Breeder, for example. I've used them before, and the way it worked, I sold 25 lambs through them, and then I got the software free. But again, you're paying for it one way or another. I think what's key with all whatever system you go down is that you don't scrimp on the learning how to use it. And so if there is the package does have support, definitely take it to get used to the software, and so you can learn it. There's nothing worse than spending all this money on a piece of software and then not realizing half the functionality or what you can do with it.
I think the key to that is when you get a new piece of software, you're going through change. People don't like change, and it takes you a while to get your head round to a completely different way of doing something. And you're right, you've got to take up any kind of support or help to just get you over that barrier. Because once you pass that barrier, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You know, you can change in a very radical way, but you just have to get your head around this change. And once it's done, away you go.
Yep. And just a question from Neil here. Is the SAC Livestock program going to be updated to an app?
Yes, it is. It's going to be updated. It runs in the Shearwell system, so it's going to be updated to the app that you saw there. It doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. They're not going to suddenly switch off the existing software, and that'll continue and will be supported as the app is developed. It'll just be a gradual process of changing people if they want to over to the app. It's not compulsory.
Good. John's just put a point in here. Has anyone got experience of using the Gallagher web-based system for cattle records? Personally, I've not used any of the Gallagher ones, but you, Robin, have you?
I have seen it. Yes, I had forgotten about that one, to be fair. I have seen it. It didn't seem too bad. I've been on the just thinking, I have actually been in the interface on the website for it. I would need to refresh myself. It was a farmer gave me his login to look into it a while ago, and I'd forgotten about it. But yeah, it seemed perfectly adequate for what the chap was wanting to do at the time. Yes.
Just coming back to your how you're mentioning the points on UHF compatibility. This is huge. So you said that there was three. I just want to just confirm. So Farm Matters mentions it. Yeah, it was just one. So it's just Farm Matters that's just got.
Farm Matters is the only one that mentions it at the moment.
Yeah.
I suspect it's because it's still been rumbling along, and I think they finally made the decision that's the way they're going to go, but legislation still has to be put in place, so it's not going to happen overnight, and that will give developers time to come up with something to be able to use UHF tags. The problem we face is it's Scotland only, so it depends whether the providers want to spend the money developing it. That's a choice they have to make.
Robert's just got a question here about any of the apps you mentioned, Robin, providing financial forecasts.
They will take basic financial information for sales and purchases and things like that. One of them does offer another level up. It's a gold level, and that has financial stuff built into it. But basically, they'll do your basics. If it's got feed, it will have costs. If it's got medicines, it's got costs, sales and purchases and that sort of thing. But there is one, and the name escapes me at this precise second, that does specifically have a gold package that you bolt on this financial one. The other one that immediately comes to mind is Farm Data under Landmark. They do have financial packages that can go with it as well.
Yeah, because ultimately you don't want to be entering the data in twice. So if you can have an accounting package that's built into your records, then that will talk. All these getting these softwares to talk to each other saves a lot of time, but does come at an extra cost.
It does come at an extra cost, yes.
Yeah,
it does.
Grant's just got a comment saying that he would like something that was similar to Farm Plan, but he says, with it being discontinued shortly, has anyone tried anything coming from Farm Plan and found it to be similar? Now, is Farm Plan being taken over by HerdWatch, or have I got that wrong?
I don't think it's. I'm not sure it's being taken over, but that's the software they are moving to, is HerdWatch. So yeah, all Farm Plan users are being offered HerdWatch. That's basically how it's working. Which is obviously a completely different system, but you're going to have to bite that bullet sometime. I presume that if Farm Plan are moving you to HerdWatch, then there must surely be an upgrade routine that they will have to take your data from Farm Plan and put it into HerdWatch, because that's one of the problems. If you change your software, then there is usually no scope to import your old data. So you basically have to sit there with your old data on your old system and start afresh with new data. There's very, I can't immediately think of any that would take across your old data and put it into a new package, so to speak. Obviously, if Shearwell go to their new app and they've got their old FarmWorks, there'll be an upgrade routine from one to the other. But generally, if you're going to a completely different provider, there's no upgrade routine. Just have to start again.
Mm-hmm. Just a point that when you're choosing your farm software, don't do it in isolation. If you've got a farm team, if you've got a couple of guys working for you, if the whole family's involved and and you're thinking about an app, make sure everyone gets on board and uses it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Have a discussion about it. Yes.
My personal experience with what I found was HerdWatch was the app, because everyone had the app on their phone. So you could send someone out to weigh cattle, and it would all go to the cloud, and you'd see it on everyone's app. It could have multiple users, and it was in a very friendly picture type, very visual format. But obviously that doesn't suit everyone. But I
mean, a lot of them have farm maps on them now, and they're just developing to get more and more bits and bells and whistles on it. It's great because it is in real time. You can go out to the shed or out to the field and do something, and it's done.
Mm-hmm.
No going back with soggy bits of paper or bits that get buried in desks. It's done. It's there. Everybody can. Well, if it's multi-user, everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm. Just a point here from Matthew. Can many of these systems use CSV files to transfer data?
A lot of them can. You can upload from CSV. Yep. Obviously, it has to be in the format that they have it. But yeah, quite a lot of them do.
Mm-hmm. Just two comments. One comment here from Daniel. He's saying that farm managers will transfer the data from Farm Plan at a cost. Yeah, they won't do it for free.
Okay.
But
yeah. That's a fair comment.
Does take out some of the admin with that. They're gonna, but you will pay for it.
Well,
So
that's fair enough. They've
yeah.
got to do it. Yeah, yeah.
And then Neil's just got a point here about most new apps linked to Scott AID, so a lot of data can be loaded that way to start with.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But no, they're really good points there. But yeah, well, if there's no more comments just now, Robin, do you want to just go into the kind of the case study just
I'll
now,
crack on then. Yep.
and
Okay.
then we can come back to the rest of the questions at the end.
Okay. So I decided to look at a farm that's been undergoing this process of software, looking at different packages and how we work it. The interesting thing is it's actually our own one. I've been based in Stirling here for longer than I care to remember, and I've been involved with livestock records for at least the last 20 plus years. Back in 2017, we inherited a farm from wife's uncle in deepest sunny Lanarkshire. He'd done little farming and kept cattle. Now, at that time, we kept the records on a spreadsheet, and then eventually, because we had this link with Shearwell, we used FarmWorks to get more management information out, like daily live weight gains of his finishing cattle. Completely ignored them, but at least I knew what they were. So we see in the picture there, Kirsty, my daughter, with the rather famous Pablo the lamb that made national news back in the spring. Kirsty, when she was younger, had no intention of farming, but once we got the farm, she decided, rightly or wrongly, to start keeping sheep. She has complete control of it. She's now into her fourth lambing and expanding numbers year on year, making her own decisions. But she was keen from the outset to keep records that she could use to improve the sheep's performance, lambing details, weight gains, maternal performance, tup performance, etc. It was also that she could make decisions to improve her stock and business going forward. Obviously, I encouraged her. So the system that we use, we currently use the Shearwell program, FarmWorks. Again, it's because we supported it at work, so it was a kind of obvious choice. It's plenty of reports for her to use, but as we go back to what we were talking about earlier, it's desktop based, needs manual backups. To connect to the program, we've got to use a Cyan handheld, which you see in the pictures there. That connects by Bluetooth to the wayhead. So we've got to take data, transfer data off the program onto the handheld. We then go out to the race, do what we have to do, weighing lambs, treating lambs, whatever, go back to the office, upload the data onto the program, and that's how it has to be done. So say the downside of that system is you've got two systems really. It's desktop based. We've got to use the Cyan, or they have a UX6 that you can use, but it's not in real time, and that's part of the issue. What we were recording. Recording has proved to be beneficial this year, particularly. She used the records to look back on performance of some of her ewes and lambs. The result was that some of the ewes you probably didn't think of got the chop. They'd had lambing difficulties or very poor lamb growth, and it wasn't always the ones that you suspected. There were surprises amongst them, which you wouldn't have seen without the data. Through medicine records, obviously it's keeping a record of what's treated. She started culling out ones that had chronic foot problems, because we could see that it was maybe the third time or fourth time that had been treated, and she decided that she'll treat them twice. Next time they get the chop. So that's in progress. We had it set up so that we'd comments, we'd taken across the comments, so that as you were running up the race, then as soon as you scanned the tag, it would pop up with a comment if you'd a comment against it. and it would say, well, predominantly it would say it had foot issues before, or it was one for the cull, or it was a bad mum, or something like that. You could see the comments that related to the individual animals. One of the biggest benefits we saw this year was when the lambs were weighed in the summer. They looked fine. They were out looking well in the sunshine. Put them through the race, and some of the growth rates were terrible, which was a bit bizarre because the actual ewe lambs that she had gone through the program and decided to keep were actually doing quite well. We weren't sure. We wondered whether it was worms or the type of soil. We thought it's maybe bound to be cobalt or something. So we sent off dung samples, blood samples. Worms were clear, but we came up with a chronic deficiency of iodine, which came back. So as a result, they were all bolused. But had we just run along, brought the lambs in, looked at them, gone through them, pulled one or two out because they were ready, and thought we probably would have maybe noticed that they weren't doing as well as we thought they were. So that was really useful. At the latest draw of lambs, a few of them had a poor growth rate, and just start to see the odd limpy ones would pull that up, poor, a sore foot or something. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. We started turning over everyone that had a poor growth rate, and almost universally, each one we turned over had some form of foot problem, even maybe only just starting, but there was something there. So this growth rate was flagging up an issue that we wouldn't have seen. We would have seen the chronic ones, but not the ones that were maybe just starting. So that was actually quite useful. So record keeping, noting performance, and having that at hand, whether it's cattle or sheep, regardless of the system, can and does pay dividends. It's really useful information, and it's easy to do. That was the whole point of it. However, we were using that system, but we wanted to change it. We wanted to change the recording system. Why did we want to change it? Well, the software worked fine. It was just this faff of the handheld having to take stuff off, go outside. The handheld was a bit slow. I admit newer ones are quicker, but you had to download the information to the handheld, take it out to shed, do what you're going to do, and then load it back up again. The Scion also had a relatively short antenna, so you had to be quite close to the lamb to read its tag. If you were weighing lambs and then you wanted to maybe treat one, it was a wee bit of a palaver to go back into the system to change it, to get a treatment, to then go back in to weigh it again. So that was a bit of a faff. You also had to do a bit of, with all these systems, no matter whose it is, you have to do a bit of pre-planning. So you can't be out in the race and suddenly find that you need to treat it with something and it's a new medicine and you haven't added that into the system. You have to have that medicine on your program first before you can download it to the Scion, before you go to the shed. So you have to do a bit of thinking ahead as to what you might want to do. So again, with it being the desktop system, we had to take a manual backup. I know it has a facility to back up to a cloud-based system if you ask it to, but we hadn't. This caused an issue because we were using two computers, which you can do. It's licensed to the business, not the individual computer. I overwrote one set and lost work Kirsty had just done. So I got a swearing, and doing what I do for a living, I should have known better anyway. So that was a bit of a disaster. But the biggest issue really is that it's not in real time. So it's always delayed. It's delayed a bit. You've got to go back in the office to see it all. You can't just see everything there and then. Or if I'm in Stirling and I want to see what Kirsty's doing with the records at home, I've got to get a backup. I can't just log on and get it, which if I had an app, I can do. So that's where we were coming from. So what to change to? That was another quite difficult decision. Having looked at many apps, which we've just done, it's always a change from what you're used to. That's always a difficult bit. Unfamiliar layouts, different terminology. Some of the apps have a more New Zealandy type terminology that maybe it's just me that I have a little bit of a difficulty with. Many have farm maps, which is quite useful. But what we wanted was something simple. Basically, we've got the stick, we've got the wayhead, we've got a tablet with a bigger screen. So we just really wanted something that could go onto the tablet, could connect to the wayhead, connect to the stick. So we weren't walking down the race with a stick in one hand and a phone in the other. The tablet could just sit in the way crate and off we go. It'd all be done just there and then, relatively cheaply. I had the tablet, had the stick, got the wayhead, so it's just the app we need. Mobile signal's good in the shed, so no issue there. We've got Wi-Fi in it also because we've got cameras there. The app obviously had to be able to do what the previous one did. You know, we had to do medicines, we had to do weight gains, we had to get performance reports, so that it could get the same level as output as we had before. There's no point in going backwards. You know, we wanted to go forwards, if anything, and that's what we required. So we looked at them all, and the answer probably doesn't surprise anyone. But Sheila are about to release an app that I think fits our bill. We can connect our wayhead with the app and stick. We can fix the tablet to the crate, and off we go. The app can be on our phones. We can access the PC from anywhere. I could do it from work here. I could do it from the other side of the world if I was crazy enough to travel there. It basically meant all we needed was the app. There was no handhelds involved, no devices to link between the two. So that's what we're looking to go for. I think had we not gone for that one, I think the choice was either between AgriWeb or iLivestock, because again, they're the ones that fitted. You know, what we wanted to do is have this stick, wayhead, and app. So that's really the way we wanted. So that's the way we're looking at going just now. I say we'll try the Sharewell one and see how we get on. Failing that, we've looked at AgriWeb. It's just as good. The only thing it's maybe just me, I didn't like was the more New Zealandy terms, but no, it's perfectly good as is Livestock. So yeah, that's what we went for. So to conclude about that, then, as I've said before, just about anything you buy will keep the necessary records that you require. It's the power of modern phones and apps. They can keep a huge amount of data on them now, which is not the way old computers work. If you're keeping cattle, I think you need to start looking at compatibility with UHF tags going forward, because that looks as though that's the way it's going. To use apps or web-based programs, you're going to have internet access. So if you've got very poor or no signal, then you know you're back to your old desktop. It's as simple as that. Personal preference is a big factor. You really need to know what you want and what you want to do with the information. Again, you know, I might like one, you might like the other. That's the way it works. The best approach is to ask as many people as you can. Ask friends, neighbours, get free trials because they're there free. That's the whole point of them. If you don't like it, you don't go for it. You're then in a position to make your own choice. And I think Jack made a very good point in the fact that ask all the people that are going to be using it. So if it's members of the family, ask them. If it's workers, ask them. get as many opinions as you can. You only really do it once, so take your time to make sure you get the right one, and don't just strap a millstone round your neck and saying, "Oh, I wish I'd never got this and got that." So just take your time, do it properly. Okay. So
Super.
thank you and happy hunting.
No, that's great. It's great to see what Kirsty's been doing, Robin. And yeah, for those that haven't heard of Pablo the Lamb, just give that a wee quick Google. It's yeah, certainly the most entertaining story I've heard about a sheep recently. So, but no, thanks, Robin. Yeah, just keep firing the questions in here. As you were pointing out, Robin, yeah, it's horses for courses for who want, yeah, for selecting the software that suits you best. But as you have revealed, some software is excellent for recording beef, the cattle side of things, but awful on the sheep side of things. And I think Herdwatch used to be that example and their flock watch is developing, but
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
you know,
right.
it's
Yep.
you make sure the bit of software you get is covering all your, well, if you're wanting it to cover all your enterprises, that it's going to do so sufficiently. But yeah, no, that was a great example you were given about your iodine deficiency and then your lameness, noticing that in the daily live weight gains before you saw it chronically. So just
Well,
demonstrates
if you don't record it and have access to getting a report out, then you can only remember so much. Well, some people can remember a hell of a lot more than me, but yeah, so you can only remember so many things. So yeah, it's often the unsuspecting ones that cause the trouble. They're just dodging along. You think they're fine, but they're not.
yeah, and you need the data to see
Yeah,
that.
you do very much so. The power of data. There's no
Yeah,
point in keeping something if you're not going to use it. That's the other point. There's no point in banging in a lot of information for things you're not going to look at. Make sure it's information that you're going to use. Otherwise, you're wasting your time to a certain extent.
a question here from Lynn about will farm matters move to the cloud? Do you know about that, Robin? Or
I don't, but I suspect they all are.
um,
They're all going to move. They're all going to move to the cloud. It's the way they're going to go. They might keep desktop versions, but it makes sense for everyone to go that way. I can't. The genie's out the bottle, so it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen, and it makes
yeah,
sense because everybody's got phones. Well, almost everybody's got phones, tablets.
I mean, everything is going to the cloud. You know, even I suppose there is always the worry in the back of your head that you don't have control of that. Anyone, you know, you're giving that data over to the company, which is stored in China on a big, you know, warehouse somewhere that you know it's
being a semi-dinosaur. That is the one bit that does concern me. That all this data, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's livestock records, it's your financial data with the likes of Zero or whatever. It's all our work stuff. It's all up in some computer somewhere, and I haven't got control of it. I don't like that aspect of it. I certainly, the current where you've got a desktop computer, it's sitting there working away. I've got the data. Nobody else has that. So if the worst happens, then I've still got it. It's a difficult one to get your head around.
Yeah, it is. But what if there's no more questions just now? I'm just got a poll that I'm putting up in front of the screen. So if you can let us know what you've thought about this webinar, and there'll be a follow-up email if you want to give more data back to us. As you know, this is funded by the Scottish Government, and we need to demonstrate that these are valuable webinars. So your comments and feedback would be great. Yeah, we trust that you've benefited from going through these different livestock softwares this evening.
I mean, I say there might be ones I've missed, like say Breeder Gallagher, which I'd forgotten about, to be perfectly honest. I will look up their stuff and put it on the publication that's going to go on the website. But yeah, again, it doesn't really matter whose it is. You do the research, get the free trial, and you try it.
And would it be fair, Robin, if there is any questions of what you've mentioned in this webinar, any of the delegates can email you?
Absolutely.
Or myself?
Not a problem. Not a problem. Not a problem.
If there's any further questions or you want a private chat about these things, more than happy to take them.
More than happy to do that. Yep.
But super. I think I'm just double checking that. One last question from Wendy. If mobile signal is poor in the shed, do any packages use Bluetooth?
They use Bluetooth to connect to the devices like the Wayhead or the stick. With some of these apps, they will work offline, but then they'll not update till you get a signal, if you know what I mean. So you can probably still do what you want to do, but you just won't see the result in real time because it's not got a chance to update itself till it gets signal. Does that make sense?
Does to me, but
you could if there's any way of getting Wi-Fi into the shed, you could use that. But yeah, that's getting more technical. But yeah, they will work when they've got a blip on signal. So you just don't get it in real time then.
Mm-hmm. There's just a question here from Keith. Is it too much to ask for one program to do performance recording, financial feed, and data collection for both cattle and sheep finishing system? So can one program be doing all of this now? The examples you mentioned, Robin.
I did. There's a one with the gold package, which name escapes me at the moment. There's also Landmark. We'll have various packages that probably integrate quite well into sheep, cattle, and financial. I just can't remember the name of the gold one. I'll make sure it's on the handout. I just can't.
Yeah, it wasn't Farm Solutions, was it?
No, I don't think it was. No. Because that was the beauty with Farm Plan in a way, in some respects. You had everything.
Well, this recording will be sent out to everyone who signed up, so you'll be able to look back and find what was being said about the different software packages. And if there's nothing else, thanks for your comments tonight. It's been a great meeting, and we hope to see you at another one of these webinars in the future. So without further ado, I think we'll just end the recording there. And thank you, Robin, again for your time taking us through this. It's been a good evening.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Good night.